Hey everyone, this is Allison.
Hi.
I'm Jared. Today we have a very special guest, Sarah Brandow, who's a widely renowned nutritionist. She has her master's in science, and she is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to gut health and why it's so important to supplement correctly, to live a healthy lifestyle, and to use the modalities that are available to us to maximum benefit. And Sarah as well, because she advocates for certain products that she takes herself. So that is very important that, she's speaking from experience that she wouldn't recommend anything that she doesn't believe in and take herself. So coming from that standpoint, I think it's really, really important for people to get informed and educated about what's exactly in their food and in their supplements so that they can make the best choices. So with that said, Sarah, as the expert, please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you for the intro. Yeah, so you already summed it up. I'm a nutritionist with a master's of science in nutrition. I'm also a certified gut health specialist, and I lead the nutrition department for a leading regenerative medical clinic. So I talk a lot in other things I've done. I have recordings of gut health webinars about how to heal the gut. I have recordings of things about hormones and protocols. So if you're interested in that, you can send me a message on Instagram or just email me, contact@sarahbrander.com, and I can direct you to those resources. But today I wanted to talk about something that I don't always get to go into in depth in those formats because I don't have slides or I don't have examples. And that's supplementation. I know a lot of people kind of bulk at the word supplementation, like, oh, I don't supplement. My diet should have everything. And in a perfect world, that would be true. And I know also, I'm going to talk about the products I use today. And a lot of people refer to them as superfoods, which is true. But just to keep it simple, I do view them as supplements and I don't view that as a bad thing. It's a supplement to my diet, which I make as complete as I possibly can, but I like to travel and I live in the modern world. So for me, having the ability to supplement and to complement what I'm already eating with things that are food-based and natural makes a massive difference. Even with a healthy diet and even with a less chaotic travel lifestyle than some of us have, it's difficult to get all the necessary nutrients from food alone. This is due to modern agricultural practices, soil depletion, lifestyle factors, and also our physicality. Our bodies are constantly under stress. We have environmental toxins, processed foods, poor sleep, which can amount to a number of other problems, including affecting your gut. And supplementation and taking in organic food-based superfoods can help fill those gaps and support you still being able to optimally function, even with a really busy lifestyle. For me, I travel a lot. And so it makes a huge difference when I'm somewhere. I don't know what the food's going to be like. I don't know what the groceries are going to be like to be able to take things with me where I know I can maintain a good baseline. And also, if you take care of your nutrition and you're very, very consistent with taking things and treating your body right for a long time, you have a lot more leeway when it comes to time zone changes, restaurant food, chaotic lifestyles. But if you don't have that, this is a really good time to build up that foundation. And I'm going to talk about how you do that. So if you don't have foundational health, you're not ready for, a bit more of a high stress lifestyle, but you can build that and then your body can handle whatever life throws at it. So I have some slides I'm going to share. I call this one Supplement Smarter. So how to choose supplements, how to use them, and how to know if they're working, which is really important. A lot of people spend a lot of money on something, and I ask them how it's working for them, and they say, I don't know. If you don't know, it's not working, or it's certainly not working in a impactful way. It's probably expensive pee. It could also be doing damage. So I'm going to tell you how to know. So as a nutritionist, a lot of people ask me this, do we really need to supplement? And it is true that it's harder than ever to actually get adequate nutrients from food. Few reasons why. This could be its own presentation, but the main ones, soil depletion. So growing methods, modern agriculture is using very sterile soils and there aren't a lot of nutrients. We're seeing issues with iodine, with magnesium, things that we should get from food, but where does the food get it from? The soil. And so our profit-driven agriculture system has left us with a massive deficiency in nutrients in the food, even when we're buying really healthy stuff. This also leads to poor gut health, along with high stress, poor sleep, not great processed food options, and high stress levels. So for me, definitely having the ability to use supplementation from food-based supplements has made a massive difference. And that's why it's something that I genuinely recommend to people, even if your diet's good. I've shared this in the past, and this is from 2011. It's even worse now, but this is a good article if anyone wants to look it up. And it talks about how the fruit and vegetables we eat today have significantly less vitamins and minerals than they did decades ago, which is really sad. And sometimes with fruit and other things, they have higher sugar levels and lower nutrient levels. And a lot of fruit and vegetables don't even taste good to people anymore because we've been inundated with hyper palatable foods. So consuming way, way, way too many of these processed foods that have too much fat, too much sugar, too much salt to play on our human desires to make sure we get enough of these things. And the result is a lot of people don't even like the taste of fruit and vegetables. Then when they do eat them, they have less nutrients than before. So it's a societal problem, and it's going to require much more solutions, but at least on an individual level, we can look at closing those gaps and also changing our gut microbiome so that we like different foods. So this article from the Chicago Tribune talks about how produce loses 30% and sometimes more within 3 days after harvest. So when people ask me how important is it to eat what's in season, extremely important. And if you're not going to eat what's seasonal and what hasn't been transported for too long, then you need to get frozen, which does have a lot of nutrients, or you need to get raw solar dehydrated, not dried. Dried can just mean that it was pulverized and dried in very, very high temperatures, and therefore there is a lot of nutrient loss. So ideally you want it raw solar dehydrated, or you can do frozen things as well. That can also work. Freeze dried, though, is less than solar dehydrated when it comes to nutrients. From the Cushy Institute, they did an analysis of nutrient data, and this ended in 1997. So I would love to find a more recent one, but I think it'd be pretty bleak. But just in that window alone, calcium levels in 12 fresh veggies dropped 27%, iron 37, vitamin A 21, and vitamin C 30%. So you'd have to eat 8 oranges today to get the same amount of vitamin A as our grandparents got from one, which is insane. Most people, that would put them into a caloric surplus as well and cause weight gain. So unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that. We still need to eat these healthy foods. It's not all hopeless, but when you understand why people have nutrition deficiencies, why about 80 something, I've seen different numbers, percentage of Americans are low in magnesium, which is super essential. It's very obvious why, and the foods are not adequate anymore. But we still can only do what we can do and fill the gaps where we can. And this just shows how important it is to emphasize a diet that's very high in whole foods. Because if you're eating a diet that's low in whole foods and you're eating a lot of processed foods, then you are not going to get anywhere near your nutrient status goals, not anywhere near, and you're going to end up with a lot of deficiencies. And this is an example. So this is from 2022. It's 2 years old, almost 3 years old. Most Americans, 90% deficient in potassium. That's wild. Calcium, vitamin E. If you go through this list, I'm not going to read it all. But you can see, and this is why we have a health epidemic, of course. It's not only that the foods aren't good, it's that then people are choosing more and more foods that satiate them and are lacking a lot of these minerals and a lot of these vitamins. Minerals are overlooked a lot as well, and they're also extremely, extremely important. Magnesium has so many different functions in the body, and we can't function properly without adequate magnesium, without adequate iron. This can lead to hormone imbalances and all kinds of other things. So one of the biggest goals of mine as a nutritionist before anything else, when people are like, I want to, I think I have too many parasites, or I need to lose weight, or I need to deal with this, I always prioritize getting rid of nutrient deficiencies first and foremost. Your cells can't function properly. The mitochondria of your cells require minerals. Your entire body, your organ function, your brain. So if you aren't meeting your baselines for nutrients, you are not ready to go on to whatever the next step is in your health journey. This is always number one. Start to work on your baseline by getting adequate nutrients in. Extremely, extremely important. After that, you can see where you're at and what still remains, what deficiencies still remain after months of doing the right thing. If you still are having issues with weight, even after eating a whole foods diet, then time to start counting calories. But you don't move on to those steps until you hit your baseline nutrient goals. This is probably the biggest reason for our current health crisis as far as food quality goes. It's creating for-profit food systems, monoculture. and the abundant use of chemicals on food. Now, this isn't to scare people away from eating non-organic food because studies have shown, this is very important, that actually, even when you're eating fruits and vegetables and greens that have a lot of chemical pesticides on them, they have so many plant nutrients, phytochemicals, antioxidants that it's still a net positive for your body. So that's a beautiful thing. But if you can bypass all of that and just go straight to eating organic as much as you can, then of course that's going to be the best way to proceed. But it's still worth it. Do not let people scare you on Instagram saying, don't even eat vegetables, they're all poison. The data does not support that. But there is an even better way where you can support the organic farmers. This one as well, this is a slide I like to share because it talks about food safety. And supplements aren't regulated at all. The industry has no regulation. People think that big pharma is bad with regulation and that supplements, because they're natural, they're not as bad. But if you look at the reality, the data doesn't support that belief at all. A lot of natural supplements can be dangerously contaminated. So this study here in the Journal of Food Safety, you might have to pull it up and I can share the link as well. But if you look really closely, they looked at 138 supplement samples. But what were they looking at? They weren't looking at synthetic anything. It was alfalfa, coriander, cumin, echinacea, ginger, juniper berries, psyllium husk, saw palmetto, which people take for hormones, St. John's wort. I could go on and on. And these were found to be highly, highly contaminated. So people think that you only have to worry about contamination in synthetic products, but that's not true. Sometimes, of course, with molds and things like that, and in this case, it was microbes, are very, very serious. You don't want to be taking something you think is good for your health and it's contaminated with pathogenic microbes. That's not good. And so another thing I've noticed too in the natural health community is that people like to say when you start something new, sometimes you feel worse than before. And they say, oh, that's a detox reaction. It's okay, just push through. No, sometimes it is a toxic reaction. Sometimes you are taking something that you think is good for you and it's not. And it's okay to honor your body and go, okay, maybe that's not for me. Or maybe that's actually contaminated with toxic microbes or heavy metals or something else. So it's okay to listen to your body. And if you don't know exactly where your supplements are coming from, don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Actually assume that there's something in that supplement that could be making you ill, because I have seen a lot of people. One example I'm going to give is zeolites. A lot of people take zeolites and they don't know the company, they don't know where they're coming from, and they end up pulling all the minerals out of their body because zeolites are good for heavy metals, but they also take minerals. And they found all kinds of other contaminants in popular zeolite sprays. And people think, oh, because this comes from a good company and this influencer is promoting it, oh, great, it must not be bad for me. And that's not necessarily the case at all. And also lack of education. If someone's telling you to be taking a spray that pulls minerals and from your body, what are they doing to tell you how to remineralize? What are they doing to help you bring your health status up, right? If you're not getting that information, you need to rethink where you're getting your products from and who you're trusting for health information. So because there's no regulation in the supplement industry, it leaves a lot of people very vulnerable to being taken advantage of and also to make themselves and their kids sick. So that's one example. There's many. But the general rule is third-party testing or do not buy. And I'm going to explain what that is in a minute. But I want to talk about here, heavy metals and supplements. Protein powder is one of the most common places that someone will encounter an overload of heavy metals. So if you have a protein powder and you don't know if it's heavy metal tested, you need to contact the company and ask them for their COA, Certificate of Analysis. If they can't provide you a COA proving that there are no contaminants and heavy metals, do not buy it. The only job of a supplement company is to sell you what they tell you that they're selling you. And if they can't prove it, do not buy it. And don't keep taking it if you think it's making you sick, because it might be just, it might say vegan, natural, organic, whatever. That doesn't mean anything without third-party testing. I can tell you for sure the follow-up and the regulation on these certifications isn't what people would think. So COA or nothing. These are some examples of health risks of heavy metals: lead, brain development, of course. In adults, if you're anemic, especially for people on plant-based diets, taking high amounts of protein powders, you might have too much lead in your protein powder. If you're having kidney issues, if you're getting kidney infections, things like that, you might have a lot of lead exposure. Cadmium, that's found in a lot of cacao products. So make sure that your cacao or anything chocolate flavored comes from a company that's doing third-party testing. Arsenic, mostly is found actually in chicken. That's where a lot of people are getting the most exposure. It can also be found in rice. If it's coming from Asia, California is a bit safer. And rice-based protein powders, because it's a concentrate, is where someone could get exposed to too much arsenic. So again, third-party testing with the protein powders. Mercury, neurotoxic, found in fish, also found in sometimes algae supplements and things like that, and fish oils. So you want to be very careful. I don't recommend fish oils for that reason. There's cleaner sources of omega-3s. That said, not all metals are harmful. Metals exist everywhere in nature. So that's why, for example, the issue with the zeolites pulling metals, well, you're also going to pull out iron, you're going to pull out selenium, you're going to pull out a zinc. So most metallic elements are naturally occurring. They're in the Earth's crust. They aren't necessarily harmful. That's why even in the cleanest brand, there's, a safe limit of heavy metals. And someone might go, well, I want none. Well, if you live on planet Earth, there's no none, but it's about safe levels that have been tested and studied, that don't bioaccumulate, that don't cause the issues that I talked about in the last slide. And then synthetic versus natural. What is the difference between going to the pharmacy and getting something off the shelf that says vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams versus something natural? So synthetic vitamins are isolated, which means you're getting only that vitamin. It doesn't come in a neat package with the right quantities of other things. So for some people, not healthy. It doesn't make them feel good afterwards. For some people, the absorption isn't good. And in some cases, it's really hard on your kidneys and your liver. So they mimic natural vitamins. Doesn't mean they never have a use case. The only example of synthetic vitamins that I recommend to people would be an IV vitamin C, because we have evidence that even though it's not the perfect form, it can help people who are going through different things. Like, for example, if you're getting chemo, it's very, very, very helpful for the body. So it can still elicit a positive immune response. That is the only time, though. There's no reason to be taking lab synthesized vitamins when also you can throw off healthy levels of things. For example, if you start taking high doses of synthetic vitamin D, what can happen if you're low magnesium? You created a lot of other health issues in the body. So if you take natural vitamins where you get the whole package and you're trying to improve your health, that's the way forward. That's what you want to do. Your body will discard what you don't need. It will absorb and assimilate better than taking really high doses of something that you might not even fully know what's in it, or you might not know that it's completely safe for you. This is an example of a vitamin C that I take, C from nature. If you look at the ingredients, it's whole food vitamin C, and you can see exactly what it's comprised of. Amalaki, acerola cherry, camu camu, rose hips, or vitamin C as ascorbic acid, which often comes from, it's grown on GMO corn, and it's extracted from there. So for me, the choice is really obvious, but I understand how it's very confusing at the grocery store. You look at that picture or the pharmacy, you see super orange. There's no orange in there. That's an artificial flavor that tastes like orange, or they can call it quote unquote natural flavor. But again, important to buy from companies that have third-party testing, because that natural flavor, Google natural flavors later and you'll see what I mean. It can be anything. So companies that use natural flavors and don't offer third-party testing to prove it's actually from a natural origin can be selling you literally anything. 90% of multivitamins tested can contain these harmful ingredients. So petroleum is the big one. A lot of vitamins are actually petroleum byproducts, which I know sounds really crazy, but when you go down the rabbit hole of where most of this stuff comes from, it's shocking. The supplement industry, the food industry, the medical industry, we have created a society that is for profit in every capacity, and that requires us to become very wise consumers, to really look into stuff. All of this can sound really frightening and feel like, oh my gosh, everything's trying to kill us, everything's trying to poison us. Whenever people say that, I think that's such a defeatist attitude, because yes, there's a lot of things out there that are absolutely harmful that we could be spending money on trying to do something that's good, and we're doing harm. But the reality is that most people don't look into anything. When you're on a flight, I was on a flight yesterday, the flight attendant goes down the aisle going, snacks, snacks. Every person puts out their hand, takes the snack, opens it, and starts eating it. No one's reading ingredients. No one's looking at what's in it. No one's even asking questions. And so it's the same thing with so many other foods in their diet, with things that they're taking. Oh, I heard this was good on a podcast. I'm just going to start taking it. You have such an incredible competitive advantage over most of humanity just by doing the bare minimum of research, looking into what's working for you, getting some blood work done to make sure, taking care of your gut health, taking care of your supplements. If you do just this bare minimum stuff, your advantage over almost everyone else is unbelievable. You'll have energy to start businesses, to increase your work ethic in order to heal yourself and take better care of your body. You'll be going to the gym more. Your brain will literally work faster. You'll have better blood flow. I don't think people realize the extent to which you can improve your life simply by dialing in your baseline nutrition, doing a little bit of research on your own. Don't believe what I say, don't believe what anyone says, but just look into it and you'll see the truth that yes, most of it's pretty bleak, but also a lot of it isn't. And so this is your chance to get yourself ahead as far as functionality of most of society and see what you can accomplish and also how many people you can help just by doing a little bit of research and figuring out what's actually good for you and what actually is going to help you move ahead with your health and with your goals. According to the FDA, 776 dietary supplement products from 146 manufacturers contain synthetic or prescription drugs. Imagine you're ordering something off Amazon and you think you're just getting some saw palmetto or something, for your hormones and a flat stomach, and there's something else in there. Some of this is not malicious and intentional. It's just because there's only so many factories where things are going to get cross-contaminated. It's the same thing when people tell me, oh, I buy organic chicken. And I have to tell them, well, actually, almost all of it's contaminated with antibiotics anyways. Less, but it is. And they're like, how is that possible? There's no organic slaughterhouses. So at the end of the cycle, the contamination is going on. And this happens all the time with synthetic supplements and natural supplements because there's only so many factories. So you need to also get your supplements from companies that are creating their own, that have a good handle on their supply chain, that know where everything's coming from. And again, have that certificate of analysis, that COA. That is the bare minimum of ethics with supplement companies, is having that COA and proving that they are selling you something that is safe and also that is going to work and that contains what they said. The COA will provide ingredient authenticity, heavy metal testing, pesticide testing, glyphosate, the nastiest of herbicides testing, and then pathogenic bacteria and microbes, as well as shelf life. This is important too. So for example, some protein powder companies will say, oh, I have COA for heavy metals, but they don't have anything else. It's better than nothing for sure. You definitely don't want the nasty metals. They're hard to get rid of, but you also want to know all of these things. They should be doing shelf life testing. If they tell you it's fresh for a year, it better be, because what if it starts growing pathogenic microbes after 6 months and they never tested that and they don't know for sure? That's very important as well for you to know. So I really can't emphasize enough the importance of a COA. Any company that doesn't have it is not trustworthy and they're not worth buying from. With soil testing, I already explained the metals. It's impossible to grow food in nutrient-rich soil with no presence of metals. But this is where we differentiate between naturally occurring safe limits and byproduct of manufacturing. And there's not much you can do about this. Geographical differences and soil contaminations and different pesticides and herbicides that aren't used anymore have contaminated groundwater and soil. But the better your baseline nutrition is, and the better your health is, and the better your gut health is, the more you are armed to deal with this stuff. And you don't have to worry so much about little contaminants and everything trying to kill you. This is the importance of just getting your baseline health in order. So the reason that I use Puria myself, the reason that this is what I recommend to the people I work with, is because they have a certificate of analysis for every product. So that's an ethical company where you know that you're getting what you're reading on the label. So you can check this out on, it was last updated. I'm not sure when this slide might be out of date because I took this picture a long time ago, but double check for updates for new products. But there is a certificate of analysis where you can take a look and see what is in everything. And, all of these metrics that I mentioned on the previous slide: ingredient authenticity, heavy metals, glyphosate testing, microbial pathogenic bacteria testing. And of course, to get more nutrients out of your food, including supplements and superfoods, less oxygen exposure. So don't leave things with the lid off, sitting out on the counter. Make sure they're sealed. If it's appropriate, put in the fridge or freezer. Not a lot of light exposure. Don't leave anything where the sun's going to shine on it. And consume things fresh or within the expiry date if it's something in a package. This is my top supplement for gut support. And this one isn't as fun. People like, shakes and greens and things like that. And I do too. And sometimes it's easy to forget to take the ones that aren't fun. But when it comes to actually nurturing a good environment in your gut microbiome, this is definitely one of my top recommendations. Improving digestion, boosting immunity, improving mood by reducing inflammation and repairing the gut lining and regrowing intestinal villi, those tiny little hairs on the small intestine that help us with nutrient extraction and digestion and avoiding intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut. So this is a very, very important one. You do have to take it regularly. It's not able to colonize and establish long term in the gut, but you can take short breaks. I don't always have it with me when I travel, but for me, this is one of the most important supplements people can be taking. That said, it's not a miracle. I have some people messaging me saying, "Oh, I've been taking it for 3 months. I'm still bloated." And then I look at their diet. They're still drinking a lot of wine. They're still eating a lot of non-organic bread products, processed foods, oils, like hydrogenated oils, restaurant food, all that kind of stuff. So you still have to take care of the rest of your health, but this is to help remove harmful pesticides and herbicides like glyphosate to protect your body on an ongoing basis. But you still have to achieve good baseline nutrition. This is my foundation. This is what is recommended to everyone to start. So Power Shake is your liquid multivitamin that has a huge percentage of the nutrients that you need for the day from raw solar dehydrated fruits, greens, grains, and it's super delicious. It's easy to travel with. You can put it in a smoothie if you're looking for a more filling breakfast. I really like that. Sometimes I'll add my dark berry protein powder to it with different types of fruit. I like to mix it up. Sometimes I'll add some fresh chia seeds or something too to pad it out. But it's also good completely on its own. Biomedic, I just talked about your gut support. Super Amino 23, pre-digested plant proteins. This is amazing because they don't have an inflammatory response, unlike heavy protein powders or animal products. They're really gentle on the gut because they're absorbed and assimilated. You don't have to worry about difficult digestion. And Apothecary is tart cherry juice concentrate. This is actually one of the most evidence-based sleep aids. If anyone goes to PubMed to look at research studies and you put in tart cherry juice concentrate for melatonin, you will see it is a great way to restore your own melatonin. So you have deeper, more restful sleep. And also it's full of vitamin C, and that's an important precursor for collagen. So with the amino acids and the super amino and the vitamin C and the Power Shake and the Apothecary, you now have really good precursors for collagen. I don't recommend collagen supplements. If you start looking into that, you will see that a lot of them are byproducts, waste products of the animal agriculture industry. They are grinding up plant-based or animal-based collagen. And you don't actually absorb collagen as collagen. The body doesn't work that way. It breaks it down into individual amino acids and then absorbs it that way. So just taking quality aminos and avoiding the ground up animal parts is a much cleaner way of doing that. And it's much more evidence-based as well. You want to become a good manufacturer of collagen. That's what we're supposed to be. We're not good absorbers. We're good manufacturers. Same thing with glutathione, the master antioxidant. You can take glutathione supplements, but we're not good at absorbing it. We're meant to manufacture it. So how do you increase your glutathione levels? Greens, especially broccoli sprouts. The Power Shake has a lot of greens that are going to help with your glutathione levels. So it's about creating the environment where you are the manufacturer, not where you are the absorber. One is a good longevity strategy. One strengthens your immunity as a human being. And the other one is just a Band-Aid that is less effective. Women's hormones, these are two things that I really recommend adding in. These are things that I added into my routine as well. So menopausive, it sounds like it's for women going through menopause, but it's not. If you have cramps, if you have an irregular cycle, if you have pain, if you have a lot of bloating, if you have premenstrual symptoms where you have mental health issues, anxiety, all kinds of things, this is going to help support your body alongside a healthy diet and lifestyle to help to lessen these symptoms. This is a product that I've recommended to people and gotten amazing feedback on. So I am recommending it now to all women in their mid-30s and beyond because I've seen amazing, amazing results. And it's very easy to take. You just add a few drops into whatever you're drinking. And you can add it with the ionic elements here. which is a magnesium-rich trace mineral fulvic acid compound. Now, if you put those two together in a smoothie or something, they don't taste the best, especially the ionic elements. So I prefer to just add it to water and just, take it back like a bit of a shot and then have your drink after. You don't need to make your whole nice, delicious power shake or other beverage taste bad, but it is worth adding these in. The reason the ionic elements is my add-on for women's hormones is because we need to have adequate minerals. I mentioned this earlier in order for our cells to function. It's very, very, very important. So getting, on top of our gut support, enough minerals, adequate magnesium, which really, really helps with the female menstrual cycle as well. And having different herbs that are very supportive of energy levels and hormone balancing can make a very, very, very big difference. But I really recommend getting the minerals in there too. I'm a huge advocate of taking minerals. It's very important. With the menopositive, I don't recommend taking that one at night. It has white American ginseng in it, which is energizing. And that's a great thing. You want to take advantage of that energy. Another supplement that I really like, a superfood powder, is called Green Spectrum. I didn't include it because I wanted to keep it really short, just my essentials for this presentation. But that one as well is really high in iodine. And so when you're taking something high in iodine, high in ginseng, these things that are known to give energy, you want to take those earlier in the day. The ionic elements as well, I just recommend taking all that stuff earlier in the day. Latest 3 p.m., I would say. If you have that afternoon slump, the time like 2, 3 p.m. where people sometimes go for their second coffee of the day, which I don't recommend even a first coffee of the day, then that would be the time where it's okay to take one of these, but I wouldn't be taking it with dinner, after dinner. You want to take that energy earlier in the day when you're really going to be able to use it. And finally, if your goal right now, if you're like, I don't know where to start, I need to correct nutrient deficiencies, you get your blood work back, you have a ton of deficiencies, and you're tempted to go to the pharmacy and buy synthetic this, synthetic that, and just load up on each individual one, this is the package that I would say you should start immediately if your goal is correct nutrient deficiencies. And if you have any nutrient deficiencies, let alone a lot, your biggest and primary goal should be to correct them. That's where you absolutely need to start. Until you have met all of your baseline nutritional needs, of course, you're not going to have adequate energy, adequate mental clarity, adequate hormones. Of course not. So if you're someone who has trouble finding motivation, if you have trouble getting to the gym, if you have trouble getting all of your work done, showing up for your family, doing what you need to do, instead of guilting yourself about all the different areas you could be doing better, just focus on upping your baseline nutrition so that you feel better and you have the energy to do things. So then it becomes a lot easier. It's a chicken or the egg conversation here. Of course, you'd feel better if you went to the gym and worked out and moved your body, but if your gut health isn't great and you have nutrient deficiencies, good luck finding the motivation. So start here. Correct nutrient deficiencies. Epigenius family also has a full serving of Biomedic in it, the gut health support. Zinc Aid is 100% of your vitamins A, C, D, E, and zinc from food-based sources, and Power Shake. So if you have a lot of nutrient deficiencies, there you go. This is exactly where I would start. And Epigenius family is safe for kids as well. So baseline, your foundation, start with this. If you've been taking this for a really long time as well, and you want to mix it up, I always recommend cycling. So after you've been doing something for a really long time, then it might be time to try something new. Try the Epigenius family, take some Zinc Aid, but definitely start with this. And if you haven't built your foundation, be consistent. Stay on it for a few months. I love to recommend doing blood work before and after, and also micronutrient testing. There's a cool company called SpectraCell. There's probably others as well, where they don't just do normal blood work. They look at your labs and they see what's actually getting into your cells. And that's the best way for you to tell if your supplements are working for you. You should also notice within 21 days a positive change. Either you're more regular, you have more energy, you are digesting foods a little bit better, you're thinking a bit clearer, you have less cravings for foods that are unhealthy. You should be noticing a difference within 21 days. And if you're taking things that are food-based and bioavailable, you'll probably notice quicker than that. But if you're taking, for example, some grocery store probiotics that are $55 a month and you've been taking them for 6 months and you have no idea if they're working because you're still not regular, you're still not less bloated, you don't digest foods better, then that's something you need to kick to the curb. It's not working for you. You should notice and track positive changes. if you're somebody who's very, very busy, not in tune with what's going on in your body, it can be very cool to actually track things. Say, okay, day one, how is my energy, mood, mental clarity, weight, if that's something that you're looking for, either to gain or to lose, bloating. Just have all these different metrics that are things that you want to change or maintain, and just see, okay, day one, I'm at a 1 out of 5. After day 40, oh, I'm at a 4 out of 5, a 5 out of 5. And it will go up and down. Nothing is linear, right? There's many other factors that impact our health, but it can be very easy when you start to get better to lose track of how far you've come and take for granted the progress that you've made. So I recommend tracking and just really taking notice of what you've been doing. And also, to get the most out of these superfoods or whatever you decide to take, or your healthy diet, don't pair coffee with your supplements or with your food. Don't drink coffee at all. Ideally, if you're someone who's trying to heal, the last thing you need to do is push your sympathetic nervous system like that. If you have a chronic health condition, you're already probably in sympathetic overdrive. You're not spending enough time in parasympathetic mode, resting, digesting, relaxing. Instead, your body is utilizing a lot of energy to create stress hormones, to pump cortisol and epinephrine to get you out of a perceived danger. And so a huge part of the healing process is feeling tired for a bit, seeing where your energy is actually at without stimulants, acknowledging your truth on a cellular level, and then changing it. Starting to build your foundation of health by getting energy from nutrients from real food. And that's accessible to anybody, but it's not a shortcut. But if you're not ready to do that yet, at the very least, maybe try to swap your coffee for a matcha green tea, or cut back your caffeine and move it away from your food and away from your supplements. Otherwise, you're not going to get the full benefit of the iron, the vitamin C. So try to space those out as much as possible. But those are the three packages that I want to share today, with Biomedic, with your baseline gut health being the foundation. And then, of course, this is the core four. It's called that for a reason, but you can cycle on and off. But if you haven't been on this very long, or you're new, just try to stay on long enough, do your blood work and make sure it's working for you, and you'll see that it has a benefit. But be consistent, give yourself the time to actually reach a really good nutrient status, and you will be shocked how many other things in your life will fall into place. It's really beautiful. For a woman trying to balance her hormones, add in the menopositive, the ionic elements to get your minerals. And if your overall nutrient status is not good, you can start correcting it with these three things every single day. Do this for at least 3 months and get your labs done again, and you'll see really amazing results. Finally, the reason why I also love sharing organic food, organic products, organic farming. I used to work for the Ministry of Agriculture in Canada. I know how hard organic farmers have it. They give up on subsidies, bursaries, grants. They give up on the very tempting allure of GMOs and growing on this massive monoculture scale. And so if you have the capacity to use your money to support the farmers who are doing the right thing in a climate that makes it very, very difficult to do the right thing, then I encourage you to do that as well. It's very, very difficult, and it's getting harder with all different changes in the climate, in farming methods, agricultural runoff, to do things properly, to do things truly organic. And so if you don't want this type of farming to disappear, do your very best to support it. Support the companies selling organic, support the farmers who are growing organic. And that's how we create the world that we want to see. And then we have more of these products and more availability of organic food that we all want to be able to access affordably and abundantly. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you for watching.